Welcome to Wilmington. This is 2 of 2 groundbreakings of a bridge, the Mayor's Bridge Home program. And we like to, and yes, and I want to welcome all of you. I see a few of you followed us from the San Pedro Bridge Home groundbreaking to here in Wilmington. Gives me great pleasure to introduce the mayor, Mayor Eric Garcetti, who just flew in from Sacramento and met with the governor and listened and heard the State of the State address from Governor Newsom, who clearly indicated, he'll talk more about it, the need to advance on solutions to homelessness, not only here in LA, Southern California, but throughout the state. But I'm blessed to serve alongside this mayor. This is a mayor who's been bold on solving homelessness in the city of Los Angeles, the #1 issue, this humanitarian crisis that's facing our city and our region and our state. And he turned to 15 council members. He turned to us and said he's got this plan to move these souls that are living in cars, in encampments, in sidewalks, into a controlled, safe environment with a bed, with services, with showers, and even a dog run. And 15 council members turned to our leader, and we said yes. Help me welcome America's Mayor, Eric Garcetti.
Thank you, Joe Buscaino. Give Joe a round of applause. Your council member and his extraordinary team. I'm going to get to them, but let me start by thanking Wilmington. To the folks who have invited us to be in your community, a community that I have family ties in, a community that I love. My new executive officer, Michelle Garakian, who's somewhere back there. I took her to Ojos because she had never been to Ojos, so I'm showing her around town. She's like, how do you know about this place? And I was talking to friends and neighbors and other people who came up to me because this is an extraordinary community, a community that for too long was forgotten. San Pedro has the same feeling. I always describe CD15 as, San Pedro feels like it's forgotten by the city. Wilmington feels like it's forgotten by San Pedro. Harbor City feels like it's forgotten by Wilmington. Harbor Gateway feels like it's forgotten by Harbor City. So, and then Watts is like, hey, we're here too. So that's CD15 for you. But they all get extraordinary leadership from a council member who is more than just a council member and more than a friend. He's a brother. And he's leading a lot of our national conversations. I don't know if you know, but the National League of Cities is all the council members and mayors of the country, and they elected him to lead urban policy. And we're so proud of you, Joe, and all that you have done. There's a lot of VIPs, but let me thank some folks who represent you in their volunteer time. Lucia Moreno Linares, who is our great harbor commissioner. Always something complicated down at the harbor. There's always two goods coming at each other. But you do an extraordinary job, and thank you for what you do for the community. Jessica Calosa, who is our Public Works Commissioner. Where's Jessica? There she is. She used to head up my calendar, so it's nice to see her working as an amazing Public Works Commissioner, but we miss you in the office. And Elise Swanson and Lee Williams, San Pedro Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you both from the work that we did long ago in City Hall and now continuing on. Tony Royster, who's the general manager of our General Services Department, who's overseeing really an extraordinary amount of building together with his partner in whatever the opposite of crime is, in good works. Thank you. Gary Lee Moore, our city engineer. Give them both rounds of applause, please. And of course, Nick Patsouris, who, if you've ever been to Union Station, you know Patsouris Plaza, the former chair of Metro. He's delivered all sorts of projects from the police headquarters to much more, and I asked him to come in to continue to push forward and get these done as quickly as possible. Give Nick a round of applause and thank him as well. Amber Sheik Ginsburg, who is part of the CD15. There ain't nobody like Amber. And when we sat down here in Wilmington and put our brains together about how this was, she gave me more ideas than just about Wilmington or San Pedro, but just about how we can more closely coordinate. And we really appreciate the work that you and everybody in that working group has given us. Manny Abarabar, who is the project manager as well of this, who will get this done. Give Manny a round of applause. Right back there. You can hide, Manny, but we know you're not just directing traffic in that vest. Leila Amiri, who is the project manager, 40C Inc. as well, and Jose Fuentes, who is the division director for Bureau of Engineering. Also, give them rounds of applause. And everybody who is here is a VIP. Look, as Joe said, I just came back from Sacramento. My apologies to San Pedro. I had on my schedule both groundbreakings. And I called Joe and I said, the governor personally called me last week and said, all I'm going to be talking about in my State of the State address is homelessness. Can you please come? And I said, you got it, Governor Newsom, who, as somebody who's been a mayor and who's been on the ground, who worked so hard, he campaigned on addressing homelessness as mayor of San Francisco, who's been through the ups and downs of what it means to have no mental health care system anymore, to have a dehousing of this country, to look at the way that lack of building enough housing in this state combined with an infrastructure that we let crumble has led to this crisis. But he's the right leader at the right time. And the mayors of the 13 largest cities that I helped lead went up there last year, and building on what we'd asked Governor Brown, the legislature, to do, they increased by 50% and gave us last year $650 million directly to cities. This year we're hoping that number goes up even more, and already he talked about $750 million. But it was similarly at my State of the City address some 3 years ago now that I said we needed to do something now. While voters had just passed HHH, and we knew that would take 2.5, 3 years to get the openings that have now started. And about every 3 weeks, sometimes every 2 weeks, there's a new HHH project opening. So don't believe the hype. It's actually going to be working, and it is coming. And we said, we know that there is an expanded number of people on our streets that are doing outreach and mental health through the county, through Measure H, which we campaigned to get done. United Way came together with the Everyone In campaign, and we love we're the Everyone In signs. They're around here someplace, right in the back, because it requires everyone in to get this done. But we said we need something to bridge that, and also to bridge people from the street to their permanent homes. And we couldn't have done that if the mayor had just decreed it. And like Joe said, I had 15 council members who said yes. You sometimes hear in the headlines because of one town hall meeting in Venice or at Koreatown, some protests, that suddenly everywhere we try to do this, we run in trouble. Besides those two, and by the way, Venice is opening next month, and Koreatown, we got 2 projects out of what used to be 1. There really has been no opposition. I mean, there's always people who fear, and I understand that fear, and I think there was part of that here. I know there was 51 meetings, and I'm sorry it was just 51, but the community meetings and engagements here, you have to hear people, but my experience so far on every single one of these that opens is that all those fears don't come true. Which isn't to say that Joe and I won't do our job when it comes to public safety, sanitation, they won't deal with mental health and substance abuse, but if we keep people on the streets, it won't get better. So the choice is either beds or the sidewalk. And I know we have folks who are a living testament of that here today. Let me also give a shout out, I'm sure Joe will do it too, but let me give a shout out to Allison Becker, Gabriela Medina, and Amy Giebert, who worked so hard on making this happen too. Because I know you're the ones who turn out at those meetings and face the fear. Sometimes actually we had some folks travel from Wilmington up to Venice to make sure we wouldn't get that Venice thing done. And I know what that's like, some of the worst town halls of my life. But you have to stand your ground. You have to hear through that pain where people are coming from, try to address their concerns, and also educate them about what will work. Because the easiest thing for Joe and me to do is politically walk away and say, okay, we don't want any criticism, so we'll just like build nothing, blame somebody else for this problem, the feds or the state or the county. And I want to thank Janice Hahn and her office, because the county helps us get the services here. It really is a time where it used to be the city and county would fight each other, and now we're working together. But whether it was the city administrative office, the entire team from LASA, U.S. Vets, is Steve here? Did Steve make it here? It was Steve Peck and Larry Williams, the entire team, who will be providing the services, whether it's the fire department, building and safety, DWP, sanitation. All of these folks who work together know that this is all of our responsibility. And voters have made it very clear too. It's not just the polls that say this is the #1 issue. We didn't just pass one, we passed the 2 largest measures in local history in the United States of America. One for housing, which, contrary to what you hear, together with all of our funding sources, will produce more than 10,000 units. We're looking at 13,000 new bedrooms that will be produced by the tax dollars that you said yes to. And of course, as I mentioned, Measure H. And my own team, Deputy Mayor Christina Miller, April Brody, Amy Perkins, Dave Reich, everybody who worked together to make this happen, to make this get to this point where we're obviously past breaking ground, but the urgent need to put a roof over people's heads. The 100 beds that will be here at Eubank, at every Bridge Home shelter in Los Angeles. A year and a half ago, we had 0 of these. Today, we've got 9. by July 1st, we're going to have 26. 26. And picture this times 26 across Los Angeles. More than 2,000 beds. And as they rotate, that becomes 4,000 and 6,000 and 8,000 and 10,000 lives transformed, together with those 13,000 permanent beds. And the majority of people, we can help them find their way through a landlord or somebody else. We don't always have to build our way out of this. We will turn the tide. I want you to know two numbers. Today, 133 and 150. We are housing 133 people a day in Los Angeles County out of homelessness. That's double the number it was just 4 years ago. 133 souls whose lives are transformed. Yes, that deserves a round of applause. The tougher number is 150 are becoming homeless every single day. So when you feel like this is a fight we can't win, that's just a delta of 18. 18 fewer people a day becoming homeless because of our efforts, or 18 more people being housed a day, and we're on our way to reducing homelessness instead of seeing it grow. I think we can do that. If we've been able to double up to 133 in just 3 or 4 years, I know that this year, as this stuff comes on, this will be the difference maker to see those numbers begin to come down. In fact, we've approved more supportive housing in Los Angeles in the last 3 years than the previous 30. Let that sink in. The last 3 years, more supportive housing for folks experiencing homelessness that need services and a place to call home than the previous 3 decades. Together this year alone, we'll have 30 projects open up, 1,300 units by the start of next year. That includes 6 supportive housing developments here in CD 15, again, reflective of this council office's work. So I know our work seems hard. You can get off the freeway and still feel dispirited when you see a mother and her child asking for help, when you see a veteran walking the streets wearing his Vietnam veteran hat on, when you realize the impact in the quality of life when we walk our children to school past tense. But we this year have a huge reason to be optimistic. We know what works. We've got the federal government engaged. We've got the state engaged in a way that they haven't, but don't let up. Call Sacramento and say, great start, $750 million, but we want more before the budget is done. Call Washington. Call the president, call Congress, and help us get this deal that I'm working on together with our HUD Secretary, Ben Carson, who I've met with twice. And we shouldn't weaponize this or make this a partisan issue. You know, when I look at what the federal government is potentially offering, surplus property, surplus money, and help, and what the state is offering, surplus property, surplus money, and some help, trailers, services. It's not a lot of times where you see the Trump administration, the Newsom administration actually agree, but that's because we know what works. And some people will weaponize this, but we won't, because every single day we weaponize this as a partisan issue, one more person doesn't get housed. One more family is assigned to the street. So in this city, we don't run from a challenge, we run to it. The city may not have all the powers and the statutory responsibilities, but we will continue to embrace this. This is the fight of our lives, and one that I, as your mayor, will never, ever retreat from. And I know your council member won't either. Estamos aquí hoy en Wilmington para empezar la construcción en el 16º sitio de un puente a casa en Los Ángeles y el 4º sitio en el Distrito Concejal 15, gracias al liderazgo de concejal José Buscaino. Las 100 camas, couple you got that? Las 100 camas aquí en Eubank están respondiendo a una necesidad urgente para alojar a nuestros vecinos sin hogar y ponerlos en un camino a mejorar la salud, obtener más estabilidad y encontrar un hogar. Y estamos en camino para agregar más de 2,000 camas nuevas en Los Ángeles en este año. En combinación con 30 nuevos proyectos de apartamentos nuevos por personas indigentes, estamos en un camino finalmente a parar la indigencia en Los Ángeles. La gente de Los Ángeles merecen un hogar, merecen la oportunidad a cambiar sus vidas. Y gracias a los votantes con los medidas H y HHH, tenemos un equipo y los fondos que necesitamos finalmente. Pero necesitamos su ayuda. El gobernador y la legislatura estatal llama a ellos y demandan más dinero. Llama a Presidente Trump y el Congreso, porque el dinero, los impuestos en Washington y Sacramento son el resultado de su trabajo, nuestro trabajo. Y es tiempo finalmente a tener una ciudad de Los Ángeles. We all can be angels in this fight. I'm so proud to be surrounded by the wings of all of you, and I know that we are on our way home. Muchísimas gracias. And with that, to the best MC and council member in the world, here he is, Joe Buscaino.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your leadership and your commitment to solving this crisis in our home and leading with urgency beyond our city, throughout our state. As many of you here, Mr. Mayor, many of the audience joined us in the groundbreaking at the San Pedro site, this is the kind of urgency we must continue to lead with. A Bridge Home has an on-site provider that will ensure individuals have access to mental health services, substance abuse counseling, medical health care provider, job readiness training, and social integration opportunities. This is a commitment we made to the Wilmington community that with each site comes on-site security, and the community surrounding the facility will receive 5 days a week cleanups in a 2-person LAPD unit, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This will be a place, and you'll soon hear from 2 residents at the Bridge Home site in Watts. This will be a place where people remain safe, keep their belongings close, and have an opportunity to re-enter the job sector, finish their educational careers, and take care of their mental health. Less than 3 months ago, we opened the Bridge Home site in Watts. As I often get to know its new residents, I have begun to learn more of everyone's unique story, and I would like to share some of those stories with you today. The first that I learned was once a Bridge Home is open, everyone is surprised about what it actually is. And I want to commend, again, as I said in San Pedro, the number of Wilmington residents, Dan Hoffman, the Chamber, I don't see Dan here, the San Pedro residents, the Chamber of Commerce in San Pedro, we all went to the opening of the Bridge Home site. Because even still today, there is skepticism until you see the impacts that a Bridge Home site has in our city, how effective it is to move souls from sidewalks into emergency shelter. But when I want to bring up Kelvin. Kelvin, come on up. Now, you heard Kelvin's story after experiencing homelessness for 7 years. He had been to other shelters and experienced a traditional shelter framework, a framework that failed him. But when he came to a Bridge Home, he was choked up to see that he got his own designated area with a bed. In fact, he just told the mayor and I he's going to be celebrating his birthday for the first time in a bed for how long now? 7 years. So he also recognized the fact that the shelter was clean, it was maintained, and when we broke bread during Christmas with Italian food, he didn't have teeth. Look at that grill on him now. In just under 3 months, Kelvin has obtained all the documents needed to get in line for housing. In fact, you should tell the story. Just get over here. Come on, tell it. This is good stuff.
All right. My name is Calvin Terrence Bryant. I didn't know that for 55 years. I thought I was Kevin Lowe until I got to Bridgeway, and I tried to obtain ID, and they said I'm not in the system. I don't exist. So my caseworkers there all got in together, and they found my birth certificate and got on the computer. Now I know my real name. I got identification, I got teeth, I got a doctor, I got a bank account, and I shook hands with my landlord yesterday.
All right.
And I still can't comprehend it, because without people like you, it would be nobody like me, because I died once on the operating table since I've been there. I got a zipper now, but I had a bed to come back to at the Bridgeway, and the council's amazing. The doors are always open. They never turn you away. People are like family there, and they treat you as a family. They don't look down on you or talk down to you. They may chastise you, but they build you back up after they finish telling you what you done wrong. They make you realize it. And dang, mama, I'm back.
Yeah.
I just can't. I still can't comprehend. I'm sorry. I still just can't comprehend it. It's hard for me. I was living off potato chips on the street. That's how I had my first heart attack because I couldn't afford nothing else. And I just want to thank everybody, man. It's an amazing place. I thought it would be like any other shelter, smelling of urine and going in there and probably get fighting, robbed, and all that. But it's like a family there. I mean, we got our points, are bad and good, but everyone, we're not perfect. Neither, only God is perfect. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to be. And I'm not homeless no more either, but, and I'm gonna make this promise to my mom, because I told her once I get back on my feet again, before she passed, I'm gonna get back. I can't no longer work because of my health, but if any of you guys need your houses painted or grass cut, call Bridgeway. I'll come do it for free.
All right. There you go.
Beautiful. Your mom's
Unbelievable.
right now. We're very proud.
God bless. Let's bring up Laverne Green.
Come on, Laverne.
Come on. Laverne Green was a licensed vocational nurse for many, many years. She literally spent her life taking care of others. And like many of us, she was encountered with a series of misfortunes that took over her life. A wicked divorce with little to no support from the outside world. She found herself living in her Cadillac. Outreach teams have made contact with her and soon after put her on the list to come to a bridge home. And since November, with the support of her case manager, Laverne, the LVN license was reinstated by the state of California.
Yes, yes.
She is now on the pathway to become employed. And second chances are real, ladies and gentlemen. They are real, and they're happening at a bridge home site every single day in our city. So, Laverne, why don't you say a few words?
All right, Laverne.
I want to thank you, and I want to thank you, Mayor, for believing it. And as Kelvin had always, he teases everyone there. Whoever thought of this should have a Nobel Peace Prize. I really agree. I tell you, this short period of time, just saying yes to something. Because I've been like a wildcat out there. Oh, I can do this, I can do it. I didn't want to admit to anyone that I was homeless.
Yep.
It was so embarrassing.
Yep.
And then I finally gave in. I hadn't had a place in so long. Just laying down in the bed. I used to have to keep getting up for the first couple of weeks.
Yep.
And then I was telling people, I said, wow, forgive me. I said, I'm going to give you 60 days. I said, I can't stay nowhere 60 days. I don't see anything happening. And I thought I was going to just sleep those 60 days, just leave me alone. Don't tell me anything. Do nothing for me. But they really believed in me. And I kept on telling them, I said, listen, I'm more than what you see right now. I'm a little dirty. I'm a little this, but I want to work. I want to give back. Here I am, 61. And everybody's saying, just go on Social Security. We'll get your house and you just sleep in the house and that's it. I said, no. I have to work. 40 years, economic producing individual. That's all I ever known to love and give back. And when I needed it, there's no one. But I thank you. When I came to that doorstep, and as I was just recalling, it was raining. I was sat there and I said, please, Lord, let me have a sign that I can get some help now. Yeah. And I thank you. This makes a big difference in someone's life. And I tell you, I'm just beginning.
That's
thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Laverne.
Love you, Laverne.
Appreciate you. Love you. Mwah. Oh, love you. This is why we're here. This reminds me that we could have lost Laverne and Kelvin last year. One of 1,000 people who lost their lives in our streets in our region. Where we see a time where more homeless people are becoming victimized. We saw a spike in victimization of homelessness. We are moving towards solutions, and this Wilmington community said yes. And like the mayor said, it wasn't easy. We had folks who were screaming and yelling at meetings, who said no. Hundreds of community meetings, about 50 here, from Watts all the way down to the waterfront, to the point where we've changed the hearts and minds, and I hope that Kelvin and Laverne has changed your mind as well, to show and prove that a bridge home does work, that a bridge home will not only bring these souls from the streets and into temporary shelter, but it'll provide a pathway to supportive housing and to an apartment that Kelvin just signed a lease in. This is what it's all about. This is why we're doing what we're doing. We appreciate that, and we thank you. Thanks to all of our advocates and those who were bold and believed in saving lives in our city, in our district. Having food and shelter are two of the most basic human needs, and it's our moral and civic obligation to help each other and provide those basic needs to our unhoused neighbors. We thank you, and with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back to you. I also want to thank our public safety partners who are here as well. LAPD, thank you so much for being out there and leading with the heart behind the badge. And
Gary Lee Moore.
oh, okay. So are you emceeing now? Or I'm
go
okay.
for it.
Help me welcome the city engineer, Gary Lee Moore.
You are. I think you are.
Hey, I'm
Is that-
Gary. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here today. And after listening to Kelvin and Laverne, now that's why you go to engineering school. I had no idea when I went to engineering school that we'd get to build this type of housing. And when the mayor came to me and asked, would I be interested, I jumped at the chance. I've never been prouder to work for the mayor than your leadership you've shown, your compassion you've shown, and it's just a real honor and pleasure. And Councilman Buscaino, we love doing projects for you. You and your team know about the projects and are right there with us nonstop. And we need that. We love that. And it is great to be here. A week ago Monday, February 10th, we turned this site over to Ford EC, the contractor who was a low bid contractor on this, but they wanted to do this project. We've done a number of projects with them. Look at us now. 9 days later, the slab for this new membrane structure where 100 people are going to get off the street are going to be right here. That's there. Next week, the membrane structure shows up. It's going to be going up. You'll be able to drive by and seeing it go up. And then right behind me, you see they've dug out some footings there. That's going to be where the dining canopy, lighting and heating will be. And in the back of the site, there's going to be the hygiene trailer. Well, there'll be 7 showers, 7 toilets, washers and dryers. So no longer will anybody have to be dirty on the streets, but they'll be inside and have all the facilities. And finally, we have inside this membrane structure counseling offices. And it's so important that this becomes a home. And your stories have just motivated us more, and I can't thank you enough. And I just want to say we're excited. Today's February. We're going to finish in June, and we'll get those people into housing. Thank you so much, everybody.
And representing the Wilmington community, and before I bring up Rafa, I want to recognize Ernie Aguilar, who's here. Ernie's been helping homeless vets getting off the street for many, many years. Ernie, appreciate you. God bless you. Rafael Garcia, Rafa, we know him, representing Providence Little Company of Mary. And let's get Laverne a job now. Come on. She's now re-registered. Rafa, come on, give her. All right.
Go on. Not come say some words, though?
Yeah, floor's yours.
Hey, no problem. Just really excited and want to thank City 15, Joe Buscaino, and Mayor's office for having me come up and say a few words. I've been doing this for 20 years, outreach for Providence Little Company Mary. We've gone through a lot of changes, but one constant thing has been in 20 years out in the community is our homeless population, and see it grow. And I want to thank the mayor and our councilman for rocking the boat. I really, at the end of the day, think the boat needed to be rocked, and it was. And want to congratulate you and thank you for your leadership and determination and drive to finally say, I think the buck stops here. We got to do something about this. And so really, really happy. I'm so happy for this gentleman. You know, simple little things in life, like a shower, a clean bed, AC, air, heating, a place to put your stuff. It's the little things in life that can really, really give somebody some dignity and make them feel like, you know, we're here to do something productive. So I just want to end with saying, like, it's a bridge home, yes, but a bridge does one of two things. It either takes you somewhere better, or it helps you leave something bad behind. And so I think that's what a bridge home is doing. So thank you very much. And great, you know, this is a great event. And yeah, let's do this.
Pastor Rafa over here. Attaboy, I love that. That bridge. Preach that bridge analogy. So the mayor mentioned two key folks on my staff, Gabby Medina and Allison Becker. I mean, you talk about being relentless. We hashtag relentless follow-up. And I got to bring Nick Pastoris to my office as well, because we come from the same DNA. It's like, Mayor, thank you for bringing Nick on board. Talk about being relentless and getting on and making sure everyone comes to the table to move with urgency. And the general contractor, Sia Dagijian. Where's Sia? Give him oh, Sia's in the back. Thank you so much to our GC. On time, on budget.
I know. Under time, under budget.
Under time, under budget. Sorry. Yes. It's an emergency here. So I'll leave you with this. I'd like to leave you with this challenge. And the mayor's heard me say this before. And my challenge is this. I want to challenge the surrounding South Bay communities to do their part and step up and be bold and help us solve this crisis. Now, if they each had a bridge home or a supportive housing unit, think of the thousands of people in our region that will get off the streets if everyone, every city leader in this area would implement solutions. There's something that we've come to a conclusion in leading with urgency and talking about everybody in. For every 1,000 resident, if a city can move on one supportive housing unit, we would get a lot done together. The city of LA cannot do this alone. We also need to recognize the fact that there is a mental health and drug addiction component to homelessness as well. But as the mayor says it best, we can't treat people from a sidewalk. And this is why we need them indoors so we can get them the help that they need. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us.